Hello, welcome to the blog. Today, 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, and this book rocks. It's really helped my own marriage, and not just my marriage, but my relationships, because when you understand someone better, then you can serve them better, and you can understand them. You can relate with them better, and it just improves your relationship. So I'm in a marriage and family therapy program now for my graduate degree, my master's degree, and I just did a research paper, and someone had critiqued Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages, and they said that they're good, but they don't know what the intention of the person doing the love language is. And I thought that was interesting because you could figure out someone's love language, and then you could try to manipulate them, and you could do it because you're trying to gain something from it rather than just to love them. But my conclusion was, after I thought about it for a while, that you can't fake it that long. If you're really selfish and you're trying to manipulate, and if it doesn't come natural to you, that specific love language, then it's going to fall apart. It's not going to work because you're just a creep, and creeps can't maintain their genuineness, and that, because that's ingenuine, and it would just kind of implode on them. Anyway, this book, 5 Love Languages, it starts out, and the first chapter is on is falling in love, and I was like, why does he keep talking about this? And he goes on and on and on and on about people falling in love, and I finally realized, after I finished the book, and I kept thinking about it, and maybe I'm just dense, but I finally realized, because people say they don't love their spouses anymore or whatever, they've fallen out of love, but that's not it. They've really fell in love, and they have felt love from their spouse, or they would not have married. So what's the problem? So why are they falling out of love? Because they really fell in love. Well, there's 5 love languages, and the 5 love languages are physical touch, acts of service. I don't know if I can do this on the spot, memorize, say them out. Receiving gifts, quality time, and words of affirmation. So if you think about it, when you're in love and you're courting somebody, that you do all 5. You want to spend all the time in the world you can with them. You give them little gifts because you just do. You affirm them and tell them how great they are. You want to hold hands and touch and hug and be close like that. And you also want to serve them. You want to help them out however you can. And so that's why he's saying people fall in love, is because when you're courting, when you're falling in love, you'll do anything for this person that you're falling for, and invariably you're going to hit their love language because you're doing all 5. Now there's different dialects in this, like quality time could be quality conversation, and so there's different dialects, but these are the main 5, and I've thought about them, and we've implemented them in our lives. We found this book about, holy cow, probably 15 years ago, and it's just been a tremendous help because, my daughter was so funny. One day she was sitting next to my wife. She was probably 3 or 4, and they were driving, and they were sitting next to each other, and she turns to my wife and says, well, how come we're not rubbing each other's arms right now? She is physical touch, and if I will rub her back or I'll put my arm around her, she feels wonderful. These are really, really powerful. And the thing he talks about is, if you don't give your love language, if you find out someone's love language and you don't express that to them, then their love tank gets empty. And you've seen people that are really just, you can tell they're just empty. They've given all they can give, and they start feeling resentful. They don't have that. Their tank is so low, it's been on empty for so long, and just a little bit will go so far. I remember at work one time, I had this job, and I hated the job. It's the worst job I've ever had. I rarely worked for someone, and I worked for this company, and it was miserable. My manager was the devil. I mean, it was terrible. And I remember that the general manager, the guy a couple of tiers above my manager, I did something. I was in construction and I finished a home, and he called me. I mean, I just hated the job. I complained about it all the time. And anyway, he called me one day and he said, we finished up this house earlier than we expected. And he called me and said, Blaine, you did an incredible job. And I mean, you just really did such a fabulous job and pulled this one out. And all of a sudden, I hung up the phone and I thought, so why did I hate this company so bad? I mean, that one little conversation went so far, because words of affirmation is one of my love languages, or I think it's my secondary love language. But it just made me feel wonderful, and it really offsets so much of the bad. Now, how do you find people's love languages? He goes into detail in the book how to do that. But basically, generally, it's the kind of things you do to show love. So my primary love language is physical touch. And I think when I say primary and secondary, I don't know if you can just say, that's mine. But, and you might fall in a couple, but like giving gifts, I could really care less if people give me gifts. I'm not excited about it at all. But I tell you, physical touch, my wife, I remember being so stressed, and she touched my shoulder, and I could feel the stress go out of my body. And she just started rubbing my shoulder, and I was like, wow. So it's really true. And my wife says acts of service. And for a while, she thought it was quality conversation, quality time, so we would make sure to do that. But if I go to the grocery store for her, or if I clean up the house and she's not expecting it, and even the kids do, she'll grab us and she'll hug us and kiss us, and you guys are the most wonderful people in the world. It's a fabulous way to show love, and that's what it needs to be about. You find out the love language of the people that are closest to you, so then you can do those actions, even if they don't come naturally to you. You do it because you love them, because you want them to feel fulfilled. You want them to feel full. You want them to feel loved. You want them to feel great. And it's amazing when you do that, when they feel loved, how they want to reciprocate that to you. And then it's kind of just a spiral that goes up and up, and things get better and better and better. Whereas it's just the opposite when you don't do that. So kind of been all over the place on this, but they're fabulous. Do not have your children read this book, though, because he has to distinguish with physical touch with adults because of intimacy, especially men, because men have that strong drive, and they mix up their love language lots of times because they all think it's physical touch, and it's not, because that's still that drive is there. But there's too much. I wouldn't have your children. They have a 5 love languages for children, and I would have your children, if you want to find out theirs, I would have them read that. But on this one, I would just simply do it for adults. And take the time. If you love the people that are closest to you, find out what their love language is and just start doing it. There's lots of stories in here. One story in particular is a woman and a man had been married for like 25 or 30 years. I mean, a long time. And the man was very, very, very tight with money. I mean, extremely. And he said, we don't buy gifts and we don't do this. And they might get one gift at Christmas, and birthdays and anniversaries just a waste of time and money, and blah, 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 blah. Well, they went to one of his seminars, the Dr. Chapman seminars, and he figured out that his wife's gift, or his wife's love language was receiving gifts. And he says, I'm just going to do it. Now, receiving gifts, don't think you have to spend money, because you don't. It's just, the thing is, and about all these love languages, it's what you're thinking. What's so impactful is you're thinking about them. If you're going to rub someone's back, you're thinking, hey, that might make them feel good. If you want to give them a gift, hey, that would make them feel good. And that person feels love that way, and it always goes back to, hey, they're thinking about me. They care about me enough to do this. So this guy goes home from the seminar, and the next day he gives his wife a rose. And she's like, I can't believe he gave me a rose. I mean, this is so uncharacteristic of this man. The next day he gives her a cookie. He spends like $1 and gives her a cookie. And she just breaks down in tears. By the end of the week, she's goo-goo. She just, whatever you want, I'll do anything. She feels incredible. And she'd felt so starved emotionally for so long. this little acts after 4 or 5 days, she felt incredible. And it really is, I think, that powerful, because I don't know if it's our chemistry or the way we were created or what it is, but there are certain things that we really, really enjoy. There are certain things that just kind of connect with us. And I think he really nailed it on this with love languages. My son, my oldest son, quality time. He just wants our time, and he wants us to talk to him, and he does. He feels great. And like I said, it's really empowering in your relationships, because you could make someone feel incredible, and you don't have to devote tons and tons and tons. And quality time is not my thing, so I have to sacrifice, but I love my son, and I want him to feel that. I want him to feel what he's talking to me about is important to me, because it's so important to him. So read it, discuss it, study it, figure out what your love language is. Let people know. Sometimes you just say, you know what, I do that to my wife. I just need you to touch me. I don't care. Just put your hand on my back. Hold my hand. I just need, and she'll say that sometimes. I just need someone to do something for me. I need someone to help me clean the house. Tell them. Don't be afraid to tell them that. And it's better if you don't. And one last thing. If you tell people you're going to do something about their love language and you don't, it's worse, because their expectation gets up, and it shatters them. So we're talking about relationships. We're talking about people's lives. And so take it serious. Figure out what your love language is. Figure out what your spouse's love language is. Figure out what your children's love language is, and maybe those others that are close to you, and then use them. And you will be so excited about the impact that it makes in yours and their lives. Okay? Enjoy. Take care.